my mic on. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to have Haley lead us in the pledge.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so I am going to start by telling you that we are not live tonight, that we are recording, and it should be posted probably in a couple of days. So just for those of you, well, if they're out there, they're not seeing it, so it doesn't really matter. All right. Doesn't really matter. All right, so the report from closed session. In closed session, the board approved the following confidential student matters. Student matter number 1, student number ending in 70572, and student matter number 2, student number ending in 47992. All right, so agenda, public hearing. Do we have any cards? Okay, I don't see anybody, so we'll move past that. And now, we don't usually have this many people in the house, so we're very excited that we get to honor so many of our students tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Dr. Moore, High School Air Show.
Yes, I'd like to call forward Alyssa Reyes, and we're very excited to be recognizing some students who had rather extraordinary opportunity to be featured at a conference, ASU GSV's Air Show, which was stood for Artificial Intelligence Revolution. So we're very pleased to have many students here tonight, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Reyes.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, President Beachley, and board. I'm really excited to be here to give recognition to 27 students who attended the air show. These students were our freshmen and sophomores who took to the international stage at this inaugural event to show how they lead and innovate in AI. They participated in a competition where they developed some assignments and lesson plans to mitigate AI-enabled cheating and also to adhere to AI acceptable or responsible use policy. They presented their solutions and reflected on the process in a room full of educators. And for context, over 15,000 people attended this conference that weekend. Additionally, 3 of our students were selected to sit on a panel where they discussed their insights around AI. And really, this group of students truly embodied our graduate profile. Their outstanding college and career readiness skills were on full display as they engaged in problem solving, collaboration, communication, creativity, and most importantly, innovation. So we're really proud of these students. We'd also like to give recognition to the 2 teachers who guided these students throughout the process. And this was very last minute, very hectic, and these 2 teachers really took on the challenge. So we'd like to recognize Ms. Chris McNeela and Ms. Jill Mueller. And so I'll also name our students that attended. So we have, all right, certificates. Okay, perfect. Arush Antil. Owen Barnhart. Victor Escala Boom. Theo Bong. Camden Chen. Tale Cortez. Dylan Diaz. Jake Egan, Skylar Foel, Marino Furlan, Emmett Gramberg, Anya Gupta, Maxwell Helwig, Ledger Isock, Brandon Kim, Chase Lai Yates, Bennett Lee, Sanjay Nataraj, Luke Phillips, Avinash Prasad, Adita Sahu, Julian Sheridan, Ishan Shrivastava, Burke Taylor, Ethan Thadani, Odin Thomas, Stanley Zhang, Miss Chris McNeela, and Miss Jill Moeller. And Owen Barnhart. And I would be remiss not to recognize our amazing parents who chaperoned and came down, and there's a couple parents in the audience today, so thank you so much for making this event happen. It was really a great experience, so thank you.
And if we can have Ms. Reyes join us.
Look at me here, please. 1, 2, 3.
Hand down, sir.
How about 3?
Okay, for our next celebration, we've got the El Segundo High School Engineering and Physics. Dr. Moore.
Yes, I'd like to call forward Steve Gephardt, Principal, El Segundo High School, who will be recognizing our students in engineering and physics who earned first place in prestigious competitions.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Thank you, President Beachley, members of the board, members of the cabinet. It is my pleasure to be up here once again. I feel like I could be up here every board meeting. Right now I get to do 2 presentations, but the first one's going to engineering and physics students. Our engineering and physics students competed in 2 separate competitions. The 2024 Herndon Science Competition hosted by the Aerospace Corporation, as well as the U.S. Air Force, and also the Cal Poly Engineering and Design Challenge. And 2 separate teams were able to go and earn first place honors, and it was the second consecutive year that an El Segundo High School team has won the Herndon Space Competition or Science Competition. What they developed was a Luma satellite, which was a very low Earth orbit satellite that focuses on preventing wildfires, which if you live in Southern California, or actually anywhere in the world it feels like, but definitely Southern California, the early detection and prevention of wildfires is extremely important. The Cal Poly Engineering Design Challenge, the team that went there and took first place there, was actually a team that designed an internal ceiling dome focused on helping hospital patients and others living in inside areas feel the arc of the sun, so they could feel like they were outside. And again, living in Southern California, you know how important the sun is, so if you can get that artificially because you can't move, you know, that's a great thing. And so these are not only excellent examples of engineering minds and development minds, they're also an excellent example of how those minds are being put to use in order to improve our value of life and quality of life. So what I'd like to do is call the students up right now, and then I will also call up the amazing El Segundo High School educator that led them, Mr. Daniel Horvath. So I'll start with the student recognitions first, please. So our first one is Volodymyr Drobiasko. Next, we have Quinn Gregory. Next, we have Conrad Hoffman. Next, we have Mikhail Soker. And then we have Daniel Tritasavit. These students comprise the Herndon Science Competition team and now the Cal Poly Engineering and Design Challenge team. We have Harper Dame, Sally Gonzalez, Bianca Hammer, and Tyler Kazin. And finally, leading both teams was El Segundo High School educator Daniel Horvath. Sure.
All right. So one more celebration. Here we go. This is for the ESHS golf team. Dr. Moore.
I just would like to say a special thank you to Carol Perstick, because when they put together the Top Golf deal, she made sure that El Segundo High School, even though we didn't even have a golf team, was put into the agreement that we would have access. And so we're very thankful to Carol, and then certainly to Coach March, who took this startup, right? And now took it to a championship. So we're extremely proud of these young men, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Gephardt to talk about the season and the players.
Thank you once again, Dr. Moore, President Beachley, and members of the board. I will take maybe a couple of seconds longer. I know we've got a long agenda, but I think it is significant to piggyback on what Dr. Moore said, that the things I'm about to reference for the golf team occurred in only its second season in existence. Like, it went from nothing to where we are today. And specifically what I'd like to do is talk about this team whose season culminated in winning the Bay League Team Championship, the individual Bay League Championship, and the CIF Division 5 Boys Championship, in addition to individual honors. And these are things that, when you think about our Bay League Championship, we're not in a soft league by any means, and we're in a league that has teams that have been in existence for much longer. And so when we talk about Carol Perstack and what she did with Top Golf, what Coach March did with the players, and just the time and effort the players put into this past season, it really shows in what they've done. And so I would like to just read off a couple of significant milestones that they achieved in the second season. First and foremost, El Segundo ended the season as a top-ranked team in the South Bay based on scoring average. And in golf, the lower you score, the better, so it's not like our test scores. Excuse me. And so they had a lower scoring average than all local teams, and that includes, we are in an area in the South Bay with teams in the Division 1. We won the Division 5 championship in CIF. Division 1 are the largest schools, and the schools that have been around the longest. That includes PV, Peninsula, and Division 2, schools like that. We beat league champ Redondo in the opening. I know Coach March and I were talking about that, and that just set the tone for everything from there. But some of the team honors they achieved, they had overall an 18-2 record, including that opening season victory over Redondo Union, the defending champ, a top 3 finish at the Walnut Invitational. They were Bay League champs, CIF team champs, and the way that golf works is each league only gets to send 6 golfers to the CIF championships. Of those 6 golfers for all the teams in the Bay League, 4 of them were represented by El Segundo High School based upon their scoring averages. So it was just really a great team honor there, and then that transitions us into the individual honors, where we have Lucas Da Silva, who won the Bay League MVP, was a CIF qualifier, and was a CIF Southern Regional Championship state semifinalist, who was one of only 2 freshmen overall to accomplish this feat out of over 150 golfers. There was Jack Harris, who was the Bay League individual champion, first team All Bay League CIF Championship individual qualifier. Sean Patel, who was a first team All Bay League and a CIF Championship individual qualifier. Colin Ungaro, who that last name might sound familiar if you're in the League of Innovative Schools. Colin Ungaro, who was first team All Bay League. And Remy Romero, who was a CIF Championship individual qualifier. And so, as was referenced by Dr. Moore and myself, guiding this team to all of this success was Coach March, who we'll be recognizing in a moment. So what I'd like to do right now is call up the golfers to be recognized individually for their outstanding performance this season, and they set the bar pretty high for next year. So first, Matthias Alcocer Arauz. Next, we have Nainoa Breeden. Next, we have that champ, Lucas Da Silva. Another champ, Jack Harris. Dominic Kopecki. Next, we have Ronald Lemus. Emmett Lozano. Sean Patel. Tate Pintons. Remy Romero. Joseph Schobel. Ryan Souder. And Colin Ungaro. And also, as I mentioned, Coach March for guiding the team.
I wanted to also acknowledge Marisa Janicek for helping with getting this program started. When we haven't added an athletic sport before, took a lot of navigating, working with the site, making sure we had the coach in place, and getting the program off to a good start with Top Golf. So she's been the district office liaison for golf, and super appreciative for her contributing to their success as well.
And as most of our crowd is leaving, I would also like to thank all these wonderful young students who came out, school's out for them. So for them to come and be honored was even a little more touching for us, but that was amazing. So thank you all for coming out. We still have more things, more good things. So California democracy, Dr. Moore.
Yes, I'd like to call forward Marisa Janicek and Craig Gast, who are going to talk about the California Democracy School recognition.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, President Beachley, board members. We are very proud tonight to be recognizing 3 of our 4 schools in California democracy recognition. This may sound like something easy to achieve. It is not. We are very, very proud of the schools, and I want to start by acknowledging Mr. Craig Gast. He started this at the high school in 2019 when they were recognized as a California democracy school because of work they were already doing. Within his government class, he brought it to life by connecting with the city of El Segundo, working with our school board, and working with the students to really make it meaningful and I guess connecting them with real life, really tying in the graduate profile before we even brought it to life. So thank you, Mr. Gast. At that time, I believe we sat down together and said, let's do this district-wide. Sounded easy, and then we had this small thing called COVID, and we were stalled for a little bit. And it didn't mean civic learning wasn't taking place. It meant we didn't have the ability to bring people together to really recognize it. So I'm really thrilled to be able to say today that we have 4 California democracy schools. We anticipate having our 5th school, Arena, joining that crowd next year. However, we can make that happen because it's really important, and we're very proud of the connections our students are making. And I think I just really want to acknowledge not only are the kids learning, but our teachers took this to the next level. They brought the students the recognition and the importance of their voice so that they can speak up and have, I guess, I want to say impact, but it's more than an impact. They're valued. They're a part of the graduate profile. They're speaking up, having their voice heard. Several 5th graders, I'm not going to name names, talked about they saw trash on their campus after this project began because the project was about how to help our environmental aspects with sustainability, with trash, with pollution. And they said, well, I know what I can do. I can call Mr. Baldino. Because Mr. Baldino came to the school, took time out of his very busy schedule, and kicked off this really important project. So our 5th graders were recognized, and our 8th graders who have built another colony on another planet. So our 5th grade teachers from both elementary schools, Mr. Luna and Ms. Hobson, really took this, brought it to life, and made this really meaningful for kids from 5th grade to 8th grade to senior year. But it wouldn't have happened without Mr. Gast because he really brought us all together and made it happen. So thank you, Mr. Gast. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Moore and President Beachley and the school board and everybody else here, the cabinet. I think I heard Mr. Gebhardt referred to. I just wanted to thank you all for your support, not only in backing the vision that Marisa and I put together to bring this to all the schools in the district, but also showing up, being judges, participating in the Civics Day, and judges at all levels too. I sat with all of you at all of the projects, and it's just amazing the support that you've given our students, and it shows. And then I also want to thank the teachers at 5th and 8th grade if you're watching this in 2 or 3 days. for all your hard work in this project as well, and also the principals that are here as well for coordinating this on their campuses. Thank you very much.
And before we call our schools up, I just wanted to share, we would have students here. However, every single fifth grader and every single eighth grader was a part of this project. We did have some students that took an extra step and presented at the Nixon Library, which we are very proud of, and they presented in front of district officers, county office, and really presented in a beautiful way, recognizing El Segundo's efforts. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Frank Glenn.
Okay. I'm going to read the recognition. The Board of Education and the El Segundo Unified School District proudly recognizes Craig Gast for making a difference in the lives of students in ESUSD and playing an integral role in ESUSD achieving California Democracy School recognition. Your dedication and commitment make a lasting impression on the educational outcome of our students.
We'd like to do a photo with each school principal and their award, and Mr. Gast. And Ms. Janicek, one at a time. Let's do one at a time.
This is a for Richmond Street School. And Mrs. DeVlantis for El Segundo. Oh, did I give you the wrong one? That might have been on purpose. Okay. Center Street.
And you should have Craig and Marisa also join.
All right, so now is kind of a recognition that's going to be a little bit more difficult, but happy at the same time. This is the time that we have to say goodbye to Haley. Not goodbye, but just thank you for being a part of our team, because we certainly do appreciate all of the insight that you gave us this year. What amazed me most this year, as I've been on the board, was, I think every event I went to, Haley was a participant. I was at choir, I was at, games, and I kept seeing Haley. So you truly are, the ASB presidency was very important to you, and you took this job and made it your own, and we are so very proud of you as you move on to your next step in college. We're very proud that you're going to go play some softball and focus in on something. You are going to Dublin with the choir as well, I believe. So we have a little gift for you, which we would like to present. And then I'm going to give my fellow board members a chance to, and Dr. Moore, a chance to kind of give you a little farewell as well. But I want to make sure that you get this card.
Haley, firstly, I'd like to say that it has been a pleasure having you as a student representative on the board. Even with all your academic, social, artistic, and sporting commitments, you have always come prepared and engaged with the business of the board. It seems to me that during your time at ESHS, there is nothing you haven't done. So without doubt, you have given and received the very most to and from your high school experience. So much so that I've been thinking you should write a book. The book could be entitled, Haley Wants You to Know How to Do High School. It could be a guide for every incoming freshman on how to succeed in doing high school. A bestseller for sure. And you're not finished yet. A great adventure awaits you in the land of 100,000 welcomes. So I'll leave you with an Irish blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. And may the sun shine warmly on your face. Good luck in your future.
All right, my turn now. I just want to say, for all the things you've done at the high school, all the years you've been there, you have shined in every opportunity possible. And for us to sit with you up here, it's been an honor. And as my colleagues have already said, you've been really engaged, regardless or in addition to all the amazing things you do at the high school. So thank you for your energy and your time, and we can't wait to see where you go from here.
It's a small community, and fortunately for me, I've gotten to watch you grow up a little bit through this whole process, and I'm just continuously amazed at your drive and those things that you push for. And I've watched, I watched you take care of my own son sometimes, because your brother and him are kind of connected at the hip, and spends a lot of time at your house, and I'm always amazed, just thoroughly amazed, your sister, you, and the success of your family and how you represent them so well. And you've done such a great job in honoring your mom and dad and your sister and your brother and everything you've done. And it's never been a disappointment, and it's just amazing. And I think Frank's right, that success rate that you've had is something amazing, and so keep it up, because there's great things ahead of you, okay?
Well, it's my turn, and the one thing that I will tell you is this. You have a heart of service. You are an absolute leader, a president in every single way. I have watched you serve in NCL. I have watched you serve in school, and I have actually watched you serve as a friend. It is an absolute blessing to know you. You are kind, you are friendly, and you are dedicated. And I will have to say the apple does not fall far from the tree. Because if kindness was a family, it would be a wants. Absolutely true. The blessing of it all is this. Anyone who has the opportunity to get to know you, be around you, or even breathe the same air in the space you are in will see your joy. And I am so grateful for the future of education, knowing that you will dedicate your life to giving back to students to ensure that not only do they receive academic success, but they have a teacher in the classroom with them who will be dedicated to them, their joy, their kindness, and of course, their education. I thank you greatly. It has been an absolute pleasure to sit next to you, and I wish you all of the best.
So I'm going to turn the tables here a little bit on Haley and say, Haley, tell everyone about your plans, what you're planning to study, where you're going to school, and what you see as your next steps.
Yes, so I am going to Aurora University, which is in Chicago, and I will be playing collegiate softball there, as well as majoring in elementary education and like somewhat special education as well. So yeah.
Oh my gosh! So come back to El Segundo. You know, special. If you're actually looking at special ed as a career, you will always have a job. There will always be a place for you. My son just became a special ed teacher and is just finding a lot of joy in the position, working with students who really have needs. And so it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you this past year. You are always poised, prepared, and positive. And so thank you for all you've done, and we wish you the very best moving forward.
Do we need a picture? Is that a picture?
I'll take him. Get in there. Yep.
Okay, so now we are going to move on to Haley, to your report, and you're also going to introduce us to our.
Yes, so I will start with that. So our incoming ASB president is Grady Lubes. I am beyond proud to be announcing him as the new ASB president. Throughout this past year, Grady has been a true leader. He treats everyone with genuine kindness, is the most spirited person ever, and is always creating fun experiences for other students and helping others. I am so happy to leave ESHS in the hands of Grady and can't wait to see all of his creative ideas come to life. But before it's Grady's turn, I have one last board report to give. The last few weeks at ESHS and the seniors' last week ever at ESHS has been nothing short of amazing. Last Monday, for the first time ever, we had Senior Expo Night. There were over 50 seniors there to show off their capstones and projects to culminate their 4 years of work. Also last week, we had our senior picnic, which was a great bonding experience and a way to get our class together one last time to have some fun. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to our amazing yearbook committee. Everyone loves their yearbooks and we appreciate all their hard work. 2 weeks ago, we had Civics Day, which many of you were at. All the videos were great, and I know that all the classes worked very hard and were happy to show their videos. We owe a huge thanks to Mr. Gass for giving us this opportunity and truly teaching us about government. Last week, although the seniors were done and prepping for graduation, the underclassmen worked very hard on their finals and it ended their year strong. Happy summer to everyone, and congrats to the class of 2024. Before ending tonight, I want to thank each and every one of you. I could not have served in this role without the support of each of you. Every time I see any of you, it's always the biggest smile of support with a hug following. Your support throughout each year has given me the confidence to finish this year strong and pursue leadership opportunities in the future. On Friday at the graduation ceremony, I was shaking walking up the stairs to the podium, and your smiles, nods of approval, and presence behind me got me through my speech. So I thank you for being my inspiration and role models. I will never forget this experience and can't wait to be a forever Eagle.
Thank you, Haley. And welcome, Grady. Do you have any words that you'd like to speak while you're here? I'm just put you on the spot because I can. So with that said, we'll see you in August, end of August sometime, and we'll get you installed. And oh, did you get cookies too? Wow, okay. So now you know what we're looking for. Okay. Thanks a lot, Grady. Thanks for coming out. All right, do we have anybody from ESTA? I don't see anybody. Oh, sorry, Chris. Sorry, Krista Caban. Sorry. Skipped over you. Sorry, Krista. I'm crazy, right?
Standing room only here today. It was wonderful. Hello, President Beachley, Dr. Moore, members of the board, members of the cabinet. Thank you again for having me. I will be short and sweet tonight. I'd like to say that the Ed Foundation will be fulfilling the last part of our $1.8 million grant, and we are already committed and starting to work on our commitment for next year, which is a $2 million grant, which will continue to for the class size reduction for 4th and 5th grade and 6th through 12th grade mathematics. I also would like to share that today we voted on and inducted new members of our board. We like to welcome Ephraim Freed, Sophia Golddade, Courtney McCain, April Twilley, and Dr. Moore. A couple of the folks have already started meeting with committees, with Carol and myself and Deanna, working on our new look for the year that should be being painted in August. And so we'll be finalizing those details soon. And we had a wonderful meeting today. We got to meet the new superintendent, and just want to thank all of you for a wonderful year and for all the support that you've given the Ed Foundation. And Haley, congratulations. I was crying the whole time because I've known you my whole life. I was probably not as emotional as your mom, but close. So thank you all, and have a wonderful summer.
Thank you. So now we're on to ESTA, but I don't see any ESTA, and I don't see any CSEA either. So we can move on from that. And with that, we are on to our presentation for the LCAP. Dr. Moore.
Yes, I'd like to call forward Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services, Marisa Janicek, and Kim Lins, CBO, to present a brief update on the local control accountability plan and annual budget. They're coming up to the podium. I also want to be sure that the public knows within the board docs, public content, their budget and the LCOP are fully there for those that would like to have extended reading opportunities.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. President Beachley, members of the board, all in attendance this evening. Dr. Moore is correct. This is going to be a brief presentation. Ms. Linz, our chief business official, and I have worked throughout the year together, and she has done budget presentations throughout the year, and I gave the mid-year LCAP presentation. So a lot of this will be repetitive and brief, as asked. So really quickly, just as a reminder, what is the LCAP? It was designed in 2013. Each LEA or school district has the responsibility of using this as a tool. And the tool is so that we can create goals within certain priorities that have actions and that have metrics. So it's an ongoing, continuous cycle of improvement to really meet our students' needs. So our new plan this year, as I shared, it has to meet the 8 state priorities. As you'll recall, our last 3-year plan, which just ended, had 5 goals. We have changed that to 3 goals based on input from our Los Angeles County Office of Education. However, nothing has been taken out. It's just been merged together. So if you look at goal 1, that was prior goal 1 and goal 2. So it's student focused. It's looking at academics, well-roundedness, college and career, and emotional well-being. So all of the goals from goal 1 and 2 were pushed together so that we could really go deeper and not wider. So we like the approach. And then goal 2 is obviously an incredibly important piece, and that's our parents and our community, and how do we continue to engage and collaborate, because they're critical for our students' success as well. And then goal 3 is really looking at fiscal solvency, facilities, technology, and all of the other things, and our staff, which really support goal 1 and then goal 2 as well. So it's really not a different plan. It's a more thought out plan in terms of the metrics are now aligned, they're not repetitive, and we're really happy with it. We're not happy with the amount of work we have to do now with all of it, but I think it makes it more have clearer message. So the LCAP highlights that you may notice, these don't look familiar, they should look familiar from the mid-year LCAP and from our State of the Schools throughout the year and a lot of our presentations. We are very, very proud of a lot of things, and these are some of the things we highlighted in our annual update. But I want to point out 2 of them because I don't think people know how incredibly important it is. I want to point out our technology infrastructure upgrades. Thanks to Mr. Gauna and his team, if we didn't have those in place, we would not have the systems, the technology, the software, the personalized learning that we do. So that's an incredible goal that is still in the plan and will continue to remain. However, we've had great outcomes. So thank you, Mr. Gauna. The other one I really wanted to point out was our EL reclassification rates. I think it's important to note that I believe we're 2.8% of our entire population English learners. So to grow by 20% of reclassification, that says a lot about our teachers and our specialized teachers, our EL teachers, our site administrators, and Mr. Brandlin, who's leading this charge. So I really wanted to point out those 2. I know it's not new information, but I think it's really critical to share all these good things. The only thing I wanted to mention is a requirement this year that you'll see in our plan is that we need to include long-term English learners. So our hope is to reclassify students, and if they come to us in elementary school and they're still EL in high school, how do we help that? What gap do we need to close? So that's a new metric that we have in our plan. Our areas of focus, these are not new either, but I think it's really incredibly important to point out our ELA and math for our students with disabilities on the dashboard shows that we need some work. Dr. Plotkin and his team have been doing an incredible job bringing together committees to look at research-backed programs to support our students with fidelity and to make sure that they're making the gains that they need. We've also had an instructional technology committee to pull together the software we're using, because a lot of software is not helpful. We need software that shows results and that is easy for students and teachers to access. Chronic absenteeism is a nationwide concern. This is something, while we're low, way lower than the national and state average, it doesn't matter. We need our kids in school. So what we've done is put in that we'll be having weekly site meetings in the LCAP so that they can look at what are the trends, who are the students, what's going on, how do we connect with them? And then on top of that, we're gonna have a monthly team meeting with our district-wide leadership team and make the connections. We're very small in El Segundo, so maybe there's a cousin that we didn't know that can help connect us with what's going on in those kind of conversations. And then finally, we're actually going to participate in a nationwide cohort for chronic absenteeism, just to share strategies, creative ideas, and this is, it's gonna be with Digital Promise, thanks to Dr. Moore sending our way. And then this is an important piece that I'm sure you all have seen. This goes much deeper than just what you see on the screen. You can break it down by schools, subgroups. It's really important information. Just a reminder, we want blue. We like cool colors, we don't like warm colors. Or a gas tank, either way, however you see it. But it's really important to note that we're doing very well in El Segundo. We're very proud of where we are. However, we can always do better. And that's what we want to hone in on and figure out together. Finally, local indicators is not in the LCAP per se, but it's an important piece that we need to address within this presentation. This is the other state priorities that aren't measured by state metrics. So this is more like, how do our teachers feel about professional development? What do the survey results say about that? Do they have what they need? Which I can check and say they all have it, but do they know what to do with it? So the survey results, these are more local metrics. I'm very happy to say we're going to report in the fall that we have met all of these criteria. So that's one more aspect, but we're not allowed to upload until later. So this is just preliminary. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Linz, our CBO.
Thank you, Ms. Janicek. So I will also be brief. You probably have seen these slides before. There's some slides missing that you're used to seeing. They're attached at the end. I will not be touching on them, but if you have questions, feel free to let me know. So this is a graph of 3 different snapshots in time of the California state budget. The top line in dark blue is what things looked like last year at this time. It was such a better outlook back then. The gray is the outlook in January at the governor's January proposed budget, and then red is where we are now at the May revise. You'll notice there's a significant difference between what was projected last year at this time and what is projected this year. And again, I'll point out both for last year, a year that's already closed, this year, a year that is closing, and next year. So I've talked about the reasons why before. There was the delay in tax receipts due to wildfires and flooding. However, it is important to note that those tax receipts continue to come in lower than what was projected. And even from January to May, we're seeing lower projections. The governor's budget really is sort of hinged on this idea that there'll be a recovery at the end of 2024. However, the UCLA Anderson School just released their economic report this week, and they are predicting a slow growth economy. We all remember the word back from the 80s, stagflation, right? A slow growth economy through 2026. So I do think it's important that we take note of that as we're making decisions moving forward. We're going to have to tighten our belts a little bit. What that means for Proposition 98 is, as I've mentioned before, under the current funding formula, we receive about 40 cents on the dollar. So for every dollar less, we receive 40 cents less. And that means that in 2022, there was about an $8.8 billion difference in what was allocated last year at this time and then what would have been allocated if we could foretell the future. Many of you have heard tell of the governor's maneuver. That's been the phrase coined, which was basically a zero interest loan out of the general fund, a reduction in the Proposition 98 guarantee for last year, which would have been an overall reduction in funding, going forward. That would have been a 0% interest loan, essentially, that would have been paid back over time. That is a violation of the Constitution. There was a lot of pushback, both from teacher organizations as well as management. The governor has opted for a different choice, most likely when they finish their negotiations, using a combination of the rainy day fund, deferring some funding to future years, reducing some funding that was planned, primarily not in education. But the biggest tool that will probably be used is the suspension of Proposition 98, which has only happened twice previously. And what that means is we'll basically get a $5.5 billion IOU for future years. The good part of it is it doesn't reduce Proposition 98 funding over time. It just means that we won't get all of our funding in 24, 25 that will be owed back to schools when the economy recovers. Hope I explained that well. It's a little complicated. So what that means going forward on the ground, you see our historical cost of living adjustments. Just a reminder that the cost of living adjustment is the only new funding a district receives each year that is ongoing, especially on the unrestricted side. Right now, the COLA is set at 1.07%. I anticipate that will stay that way. All 8 measures are in. And then it's projected in the out years at 2.93 and 3.08%. I do want to point out all 3 of those are lower than what the 3 years were predicted to be last year at this time. So we are, even though we're receiving additional funding, it's less additional funding than we anticipated going forward. What that looks like for our budget is we will continue to have deficit spending. You always see that 4th row is typically in red, especially this time of year because we do budget conservatively. We don't budget worst case. What we do is budget likely scenarios. And so because we do that and because we don't budget funding until we receive it, we are looking at a structured deficit in all 3 years. That deficit does get larger, you can see in the out 2 years, because we're budgeting likely scenarios. Obviously, if the COLAs shift and we get additional funding down the line, we'll be able to make adjustments there. I do want to point out, on that bottom line, that we are still well within our required range for our reserve percentages. We cannot go over 10% still. We'll talk about that in a second. And we can't go below 3%. So you can see we're staying right. I like to just say we have a stable budget. We're staying in a very stable range, and I appreciate the board's commitment in the past, and I'm assuming in the future, to continue to hold to a stable budget as we move forward. On the restricted side, our reserves are bigger because these are one-time funds received in previous years that we continue to spend down. You'll notice that the deficits get smaller in the out years as we spend those funds down. We do still have 2 fairly large grants that are in one-time funds that we just received last year that we haven't really touched yet for professional development as well as for learning recovery. Finally, our reason for reserves. As I've said previously, all 5 of these bullet points are reasons why we have reserves. We have needed to call on them in the last 5 years. I anticipate we'll have similar issues in the next upcoming years where our reserves will become even more important. So we'll need to watch those and make sure that we are staying well within a safe, stable budget moving forward. We do still have the public school system stabilization account, or the Prop 98 rainy day fund. It will, under the governor's current proposal and likely where the legislature is going, be exhausted by the end of next year. That's part of how he's funding COLA, how they are proposing to fund COLA, and also how they are making up for the shortfalls. So even though it's going to be depleted by the end of next year, it is still above the 3% right now. And so the state superintendent of public instruction has informed all school districts we still need to stay within that, below that 10% cap that is still in place for 24-25. So what happens next? Ms. Janicek and I will be back with an action item for both LCAP and budget at the next Board of Education meeting. We do have a legal requirement to adopt a budget and an LCAP by June 30th of this year. I will come back with first interim by December 15th. And Ms. Janicek and I have a new requirement, which is a mid-year LCAP, which we did this year, which is required to be shared at a public meeting by February 28th. We do want to thank all of the community members, committees. This is a working document with a lot of input. We want to thank everyone who participated. And with that, we are happy to take any questions.
I just want to say thank you. I don't know if people realize it's a 1% COLA means it's a negative growth rate because of rising costs. And your staff and you have budgeted in a way and got us to believe in budgeting this way that we can still negotiate things for our faculty, staff, our schools, still make things happen. Thank you to the Ed Foundation for the supplemental money that continue to provide us those kind of things. So thank you very much and your staff for getting us to follow that line down that path, because we aren't in this situation right now that we're in regards to the deficit spending and how our budget's able to stay pretty solid and stable without that. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add, comparatively with other districts, we're even more grateful for your partnership, because a lot of folks aren't feeling what's coming as well as we are. Not that we want to feel it, but here we are. So thank you for your continued thought process together and working to keep us on a safe, as stable as possible path forward. We appreciate it.
Kim, I've got a question. I think, forgive me if I got it wrong, but you said that some of the funding will be deferred to later years. Is that correct?
I should have been more clear on that. One-time funding. So for example, the Learning Recovery Grant, not all of it has actually been issued. It's a grant from last year, actually.
Oh, okay.
That was supposed to be issued this year, and now it's going to be issued maybe next year, the second half of it. So it's not deferrals, which we've seen in the past, which is our day-to-day funding. It's more one-time funding. The other example would be some of the facility money that was set aside for preschool facilities as well as school facilities. That's actually been eliminated with the idea that there'll be a bond on the November ballot, a school bond on the November ballot. And so any of that funding would be wrapped up into that bond.
Statewide.
Statewide, yes. Not El Segundo, statewide, yes, statewide. Thank you for that
thanks for clearing
clarification.
that up.
I think the hardest, excuse me.
I just wanted to add to that too, because it's a great question, and we've already started planning for the effect of not having that one-time funding as a leadership team, really analyzing what we have and eliminating things that aren't necessary. So we're ready. Yes.
Every time we look at the revised budget, the revisions, the story seems to be a little bleaker. And at this time, it's when we're really grateful that we have the right people in the right seats helping us to make decisions that keep us afloat even when that line that you show goes down, down, and down. And what really makes it more difficult when you start pairing it with our students is that we understand that the needs of our students are increasing, especially coming off the heels of COVID. And it's at this time that we will have to continue to work together to ensure that we meet the needs of our students despite the projections, the revisions, and the ultimate truth that hits us as a district.
I think they said it all. I'm good. Thank you. All right, moving on to consent items. We need an approval.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through double C.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, no, Haley, preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes 5-0. Well, that was good. All right. Moving on to action items. Acceptance of gifts. Tracy.
In accordance with Board of Education Policy Number 3290, the Board of Education may accept gifts as long as there is no conflict with the Education Code or other public laws. The school district has received generous donations as detailed below. These donations do not conflict with any ed code or public laws regarding acceptance of gifts. We have the Eagles Nest Preschool PTO with $937.24 to be utilized at the Eagles Nest Preschool. We have Continental Development Corporation with $500 for the district, and Box Tops for Education, $7.80 at El Segundo Middle School. I recommend acceptance of these gifts.
Second.
Any discussion, Mike?
Thank you.
Anything else? Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes 5-0. All right, Dr. Moore, approval of the open campus.
Yes, earlier this year we had a pilot program where we had open campus for seniors proposed by Principal Gebhardt. The program has been extremely successful. Perhaps Haley, you would like to give any opinions about this?
Yes, our seniors love going off campus, and I think like the past made it very easy for everyone and like clear who could go on off campus and who couldn't. And I feel like in a way it made our seniors feel special, and it was nice going off and getting lunch, hanging out with friends, and then coming back.
Okay. Well, we'd like to expand the program to both seniors and juniors, and I recommend approval, and we do have Principal Gebhardt here should you have any specific questions.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any questions?
I do have one question. Are there any great changes that you've made to this based on the pilot program? Anyone? If you don't mind. Sorry, I'll make you walk all the way up, but just curious if what you learned has made anything new.
No, there are no major changes other than the fact that we noticed it really helped us to identify more spaces that students are able to leave campus that maybe would not have been identified prior to that, which, you know, might sound like it's a joke, but it's really not. Like it's actually uncovered vulnerabilities that we didn't realize we had and increase our safety for those that remain on campus. So that was a good thing. But the process itself was successful, and I'm glad that Haley enjoyed it, and I'm sure the juniors will feel just as happy.
I also have one question. So as you know, ASB puts on a lot of like lunchtime activities. For like the most participation, are like LTAs going to be like restricted, like they can't leave on those days, or how is that going to work?
That's actually a great question. It hasn't been brought up at all, so I'm glad you're bringing it up, and something we'll have a conversation with Ms. Richmond about relative to, are there certain days that we cancel the pass in order to support the ASB LTAs and things like that. But that's not something that was brought up at all, so I'm glad you brought it up, and we'll definitely talk to Ms. Richmond and incoming President Lubes about, so thank you.
Very good.
All right, so no other discussion. Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 5-0. All right, we need to do a public hearing on the El Segundo Unified District proposed LCAP. So we're going to open that up at 7:09. Closing at 7:10. So we now need the approval for the LCAP. Oh, no, sorry, no, that one is, that's June, sorry, my bad. Approval for the proposed new board policy on academic honesty, NAI, I believe.
Yes, at our last board meeting, Eric Burmeister from Solutionary Advisors and I presented regarding our revised and updated academic honesty policy that incorporates generative AI, as well as our new policy, student use of emerging technologies, including generative AI. So your action this evening, should you choose to approve it, we could be one of the first in the nation to actually have a policy. So I enthusiastically recommend this, and I think these policies truly reflect the pulse of our community at this point in time. Thank you.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? I just mentioned really quickly, I was at my SoCal Rock meeting last night, and I mentioned that during my board report there that we were in fact going to be the first to have AI policy, and they were a little surprised actually. And that included a lot of the South Bay. So they were a little, we got kudos on that, so it was pretty fun. But any other discussion?
I just want to really thank Dr. Moore for leading this, because this has been a big effort, and Ms. Janicek for having the committee and everything following up and doing all the work to get us to this point. We appreciate all that's gone into this and hope that this charts us on the right path.
And then I have homework for the incoming superintendent that he's
Yes,
going to
yeah,
have
I
his
bet you
AI advisory committee, and I've got all the names from the high school and our faculty and our parents, and so I'm very excited about the next steps and where this heads.
So Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes 5-0. Okay, approval of some policy. Dr. Moore.
Yes, this was an information pending action at our last board meeting, and these are changes recommended by California School Boards Association. I recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Passes 5-0. Dr. Moore, approval of the workplace violence prevention prime.
So once again, we have a legislative action that is impacting the workplace here in El Segundo Unified. So Senate Bill 553 requires that all places of employment develop a specific workplace violence prevention plan, and that needs to be implemented by July 1st. And so Dr. Gooden has been working closely in consultation with legal counsel and reviewed also with our labor partners and the safety committee to get their input on this plan. So I appreciate that she was trying to make sure that it would be concise, as some plans that we previewed actually were like entire notebooks. So I appreciate the work that she did on this plan, and hope that it will provide a useful framework in the future should employees need to reference it.
I move to approve action item 6F.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, this is a big one because California has really pushed for this, and effective 7/1, this has to be in. Other states are following, but this is all over the place. They first released this for California, and it really is a safety factor, and having this plan informs employees of options. Not only can you see what the safety plan is, but you can ask questions, you can look at incidents, and it just helps everyone to be more informed, because you need to be. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes 5-0. Dr. Moore, approval of declaration in need.
Yes, on an annual basis, should a district not be able to fill each and every position, you need to file this appropriate paperwork with the Commission on Teacher Credentialing in order to provide the district flexibility should you need to do that. So this is declaring up to 6 CLAD English learner authorizations, a limited assignment permit in the field of chemistry, and potentially up to 2 intern permits. So I appreciate Dr. Gooden being out ahead of this. These things all enter into how we do on misassignments. So we appreciate her work in this area.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, passes 5-0. Dr. Moore, agreement with Point Loma.
Yes, we bring an affiliation agreement, and this is for fieldwork opportunities, student teaching, and internships in teacher education. I recommend approval.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Is this a continuation of,
We brought one about a month ago that was for an administrator to do their field work here. So these are for teacher education. There's different ones, one for administrative, and then this will allow for teachers to do their field work here. But we actually have a current classified employee that is getting a teaching credential that this will cover.
Nice. Preferential vote, Haley?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, passes 5-0. It looks like we have another one for Purdue University. Dr. Moore?
Yes, for Purdue, this particular opportunity is for fieldwork in speech, language, and hearing. So we definitely recommend approval on this one.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, passes 5-0. Okay, Dr. Moore, resolution number.
Yes, Resolution 20 is an important resolution when fiscal times go bad, but we do this on an annual basis to provide for financial flexibility should we need to. So this is inter-fund transfers of special or restricted fund money for temporary borrowing between funds. So this is only permissible should you approve a resolution. So this flexibility can be very, very helpful in tough times. But we bring it every year just to provide that flexibility should something go very wrong. Recommend approval.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 5-0. And another resolution, number 21.
Yes, 21 is temporary transfer of funds from the school pools fund maintained by the LA County Treasurer. And I'm pleased to say we pass this every year. We've yet to ever use this. So there were districts that were having tough times and actually had to access these funds. But in speaking with our prior CBO, Susan Aceves, we've never had to use this to our knowledge. So, but it's the prudent thing to do. It's that rainy day fund.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, it's definitely cheaper to borrow from ourselves than it is from anyone else. So
Yeah,
it's great
exactly.
to have that in place.
Good
Absolutely.
to have options, though,
Yep.
just in case.
Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, passes 5-0. Dr. Moore, appoint some new members to the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Yes, we have 2 members who have given wonderful volunteer service on this very important committee, Citizen Bond Oversight Committee. So I'm going to start with thanking Scott Patterson and Lance Bustrom for stepping up and serving on this committee. And they are no longer eligible at this moment in time. So we did have a process where we put together a committee and bring forward the recommendations. It was nice to have multiple people in our community interested in this. And so we bring together and bring forward Gwen Sanders as the member of a business organization and Loretta Zarp as at-large community representative. And Ms. Linz is happy to take any other questions if you have any.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 5-0. So welcome to the team. And the phone system, Dr. Moore, here we go.
Yes, we have a 5-year agreement before you to upgrade our current Cisco call manager. And we have Mr. Gowney here this evening, and our contract is going to be with Exiliant. Yes, and we're excited about this. This is a piggyback master agreement, and he has been working hard to continue to look for best pricing. Thank you, Mr. Gauna.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you, Danny, would you like to explain a little bit about what's happening here?
Yeah, so currently we have an on-prem solution with our Cisco VoIP, which is we have appliances and we have equipment at each of the respective school sites. And we're no longer going to go that route, and we're going to move forward with a cloud solution where everything's going to be off the internet. If, say, for instance, if we were to ever lose internet, we do have a redundancy solution that we're going to fall back for safety reasons. And also, we're able to be able to call within each other's site. So the game plan is to move forward, try to stay away from the hardware, because the hardware is an issue that can happen where we're able to lose, equipment based on power outages. So I know this solutions we did the last 2 months. We've done a POC with a couple of our phone systems where we finalized our PA system with our safety on this solution. So we're moving forward with the cloud.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
That cleared it up for you, Frank.
Yeah. Haley, your preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes 5-0. And Dr. Moore, looks like we have some air conditioning.
Yes, as you're aware, this particular project was approved for leaseback, and the board has already taken 2 actions related to this, where we identified Air Masters in July of 2023, and then we had an amendment to purchase the units in October of 2023, and now we're ready to get started with actually doing the work. Ms. Linz, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, we're actually hoping to start next week, so we're ready to roll.
So I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Let's get them going. It's supposed to be a hot one this year.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that you've found other sources to fund this, not just
Yeah.
our bond, so
Yeah.
we can continue to use the bond as much as possible for other things and fill in the gaps as you are so good at doing with other stuff. Thank you.
Absolutely. Haley, preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes 5-0. All right, moving on to reports. We have the informational calendar, which I'm guessing we don't have much on our informational calendar, which we allow you to read anyway, and financial statements for the ASB. So we're going to move on to board reports. Daima, what you got?
Thank you, President Beachley. Collectively, as a board, we were able to attend and support while celebrating the students of ESUSD. Us board members attended the Center Street School Spring Sing, the Flight graduation, the Arena graduation, the Senior Expo night at the high school, the Center Street School promotion, the Richmond Street School promotion, the middle school promotion, and the El Segundo High School graduation. I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a wonderful summer. May you recharge and return this fall ready to make a meaningful difference. Be well.
Thank you. Just want to say thank you to all the teachers, administration for a great wrap-up of a year. It came, again, quick, finished fast. And so great ceremonies and culminations. And thank you to everybody that was involved and to all the parents of graduates. Take a deep breath and, they got through it. So congratulations on that. And all the kids transitioning to different schools. Congratulations. And so thank you to everybody here and to cabinet and board for another amazing year.
Yeah, I'll just add that for the long list that Ms. Wheaton shared, my face is still hurting from smiling so much last week. Like, I feel like there's such joy at all of those events to end our school year that I love it. And I want to say I had members of the public, one in the grocery store approached me to say how great the middle school promotion event was. So, Ms. Devantis, you're getting some props there. And then another gentleman came up after church this week to commend the high school on their graduation as well. So the love is shared throughout the community. I'm sharing it back with you guys, but all of the events were beautiful and happy that we could be a part of them. Yeah, with that, enjoy your summer, everyone. And some of us will still be here doing some stuff, but most of you should be out there having fun all the time. Thank you so much for the hard year's work, and you've earned this time off.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiments of my colleagues here, and I'd like to thank our principals and congratulate you all for a fantastic year. And I want to take this moment to let you know that we really appreciate that you come to the board meetings. And it shows that you're not just engaged with your school, but you're engaged with the district, and that you're learning from what's going on up here. You're hearing about the other schools, and I think it means a lot because we are one big family. Last Tuesday, President Beachley and I attended a benefit concert at ESHS, hosted and presented by Caleb Tsai and the El Segundo High School Musicians for Service. The proceeds from the event were donated to Olive Crest, a nonprofit organization dedicated to preventing child abuse by strengthening and restoring families in crisis. Several ESHS students performed, and we were also treated to a violin solo by Rosalind Darbo. It was wonderful to see these students harnessing their passion for music and the greater good of society. This morning, I had the pleasure of attending the Ed Foundation's board meeting, and thank you, Krista, for your great report. And I want to join you in welcoming the 5 new members of the board who you named earlier, and also commend Dr. Moore for continuing your commitment to our district and our children by joining the board, and we can all look forward to seeing what you do there, because we know what an exceptional person you are and how you're going to light it up at the Ed Foundation. Thank you. Yeah.
Make it happen.
So this used to always be my favorite. Obviously, last week would have been my favorite week of school as a teacher. It actually popped up on Facebook today. I retired 3 years ago today. So, the end of school is always special. For a teacher, it was always special for multiple reasons. But as a board member, it's even more special to see the faces of the parents and of the kids as I sat and like you said, smiled a lot at all the celebrations that we attended was amazing. The first flight graduation was incredible, and they all were. So it was certainly a special week. 6 promotions in 5 days. So it was very exciting. I also got to do my SCROC, which I'd missed for the last couple meetings. So that was last night. It didn't go till 10:30, Mike. We were done at like 9. But we had a very productive meeting. There will be some, just a heads up for all of my SCROC students out there. There are going to be a couple of changes next year with transportation. So just to kind of heads up that there may be some changes on, we're going to get you there, we're going to get you home, but there are going to be some changes on how transportation is going to work next year. But they're still looking at new classes and getting more kids involved, and I certainly hope that that you'll think about SCROC as an alternative, because we certainly would love to see you there. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Moore.
I wanted to thank the ASB for the postcard of thanks. That was a very nice touch at the end of the year to be able to receive something with messages from students always matters. So I appreciate that. In addition, congratulations to all the students who promoted or graduated and the families. And then lastly, one more board meeting, 13 more days.
But who's counting? Yeah. And wow. And with that, we are going to adjourn at 7:31.